Welcome back to our Online Isolation 3 podcast here with Dot and Aaron tonight. Now, I usually start with ups and downs, but first I have a bigger question. Would either of you ever eat raccoon?
Oh my God.
No, absolutely not.
I wouldn't, but I don't know if I would let it haunt me at night the way that it did Patty. I think I would still sleep. Sheesh.
Touche. Well, first, I guess, let's see who went up for you guys in this episode from last week.
Went up for me?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, there are three people that have kind of grown on me now since this past episode, and it's Miguel. He's kind of grown on me. As weird as this sounds, Anthony has kind of grown on me.
Nice.
And I think I'm still like in that kind of in between, maybe grown on me a little thing with Patty a little bit. He definitely called out Dot in this last episode.
It don't stop.
So I thought that was there were some parts that I thought he kind of did some weird stuff, but at the same time, his one-on-one with Anthony, it was kind of endearing how he was kind of warming up to the younger players, and I thought that was kind of sweet. So those are my three right now. They're going up, I think.
Why did Anthony and Miguel grow on you?
I just think Anthony's kind of funny. He talks a lot. He's playing the game. Miguel was the bottom, and he had the choice to choose to do the monkey paw, and he didn't. He's kind of playing the long run again. He knows that if he gets voted out, it's going to be difficult to come back if he plays it. So I think, just on that alone, I think, smart play. So I think he's thinking ahead, and I appreciate that. So that's why he's going up.
Who went up for you, Dot?
That's fair. My biggest up, and I think it was just like a personal up, was Diani. I felt like she just like navigated conversations very well. I think I just got a closer look into how in tune she is and how emotionally intelligent she is. Like that talk she had with Liana, I just felt like she was able to like read Liana's energy very well. And even down to like her saying like when she first got on the chat, she was like, yes, ma'am, like a number of times. And I felt like she just knew that like that kind of like hospitality and respect to somebody like Liana would make a difference. So like the more that I watch her and see how curious she is about this game and how careful she is about the things that she says, I just think that that she's gonna go further than I initially assessed. And she's here to play.
How about your downs in this episode?
Yikes. To be honest, I would probably, I'm gonna get the right episode. I would probably give the down to Miguel. And it's mainly because I had pretty high expectations. I did say last episode that I thought that he would win it all, and I definitely didn't expect him to be at the bottom. What I noted about him is that he knows when to be quiet and he knows when to be more talkative. And I felt like he's being a little bit too quiet now. I feel like he was voted at the bottom because people aren't getting to know him as well. And I played with Miguel before. I felt like I connected really. I feel like out of anybody in Survival 3, like I probably connected with him the most. I feel like he was very sociable and it was very easy to have conversation with him. But I don't feel like he is being as outgoing. I feel like he's being a little bit more careful. He's trying to lay back a little bit.
Do you think he's being careful because of that season, though, or?
I think so. I think that he was himself in season 3, and it didn't really go well for him in Survival. And so he's trying to be more of like the laid back character and like make less waves in this game. And I think it's a little bit too far. People are like voting him towards the bottom because they don't know him well enough now. So I think he needs to show himself a little bit more if he wants to stay in this game longer.
Yeah, I'd say that's actually pretty fair of a like judgment on that.
I went to
I don't
college
know.
too,
I
Erin.
mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, this is kind of like super random, but I feel like we don't know too much about Ian. I feel like, didn't he say that he missed like the first night or something like that? And so he wasn't there, or one of the meetings he missed from last week or something like that. I don't know. I feel like he's a little more quiet, and I feel like, I feel like to play the game, he kind of needs to get out there a little more. I feel like so. I am hoping and expecting that he'll throughout the game just kind of put himself out there a little more, and then we can actually kind of see what kind of player he is. So right now he's kind of down for me, but I'm expecting that he'll go up and it'll
Yeah,
be better.
I expect him to get out of his shell a little bit.
Mhm.
I just want to see him have a little bit more fun in the game,
Mhm.
get a little bit more comfortable. And sorry, one more thing to add about Miguel. Another reason why he's down for me is, if you're struggling with your social game and you're aware of it, I feel like then you can make a move and make changes. But
Mhm.
he's really stuck on like the fact that he missed a couple of chats, or maybe missed one chat. And yeah, I think that is a reason why you're probably lower right now. But you haven't seen yet that you're not making strong enough connections. You're not talking enough. You're not showing yourself enough. And for me, that's the real reason why you're in the afterlife right now. So like you gotta be aware. You gotta know where you're lacking, and I think he's missing the mark a little bit.
Mhm.
Well, let's start kind of with the afterlife and Jed getting his spy session. Unfortunately, he spied on the session that was like 90% about food, but he did he did hear Patty talking about how he was one of the power players. Yeah,
Yeah.
any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, thoughts on Jed? Yeah, unfortunately, he was in that kind of a weird group. But I do think the beginning, though, that first like 5-10 minutes was very interesting. And that's one of the things that I'm still so about Patty, is that he blatantly said that he kind of had a direct hand in what happened to Jed, but I don't quite remember seeing it like that in our last, in the last episode. So, I mean, he's honest right off the bat. I respect that, but kind of the way he went about it was a little weird. And so I think that was interesting for Jed to see. I don't know. I think Jed's in a good spot right now. Having already had that spy session and being the first one down there. So I'm not too worried about him being down there. Yeah, that was an interesting group, to say the least.
Yeah, it was. What do you think Jed needs to do with that information?
I think if he does make it back into the game, I think he needs to be careful, or maybe even consider working kind of alongside Patty, but Patty doesn't realize that he heard that. And so maybe, I guess, kind of using that to his advantage. I think Patty's big thing was trying to protect Jed. So I feel like if he ended up getting back in the game, maybe he could kind of use that feeling that Patty has to protect him in his advantage, to kind of help push him along. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at right now in that situation.
Don, what do you think of Patty's reasoning that he wanted to send Jed to protect him?
Well, I was saying in the last podcast, I wouldn't have made that move. I don't think that it was the right decision. I think what I said last week was that if it works, then you're a genius, but if it doesn't work, then you're an idiot. And we're starting to see that Jed is not very happy that he's in Afterlife. Like he's not appreciating that possibly somebody who said they were going to be his teammate sent him down there, even if it was for what Patty and Meg thought were for good reasons, to power the team. So, he pretty much said, there's no reason for me to work with them again. Like, it didn't work for me the first time, so why would I do it again? And I feel like even if he gets the explanation that he would be looking for, I just think that he's too smart of a cat to to work with them again and then to be eliminated by them again. He's not going to allow it to happen. So yeah, I think that like Aaron said, I think that he's in a good spot. He's taking in a lot of information. Even Miguel went into that chat with him and pretty much spilled his guts, told him everything he could possibly want to know, and he was absorbing all of it. So I just think that he needs to kind of hold those emotions inside. Don't be too vocal about being upset about Patty and Meg kind of turning your back on them, and just kind of play the game a little bit, play with some finesse.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts on the food conversation?
Oh shoot, what did I say about it? I did respect Patty for being honest about being a power player and having something to do with Jed being out. It's one of those things where people are going to talk about it and people are going to figure things out, just from conversation and the telephone game altogether. So I feel like you get out ahead of it and you kind of show people that you're being transparent rather than trying to keep secrets. We saw like in the last season, Chris dealt with that a lot. He was purposely telling people like, hey, I don't want to tell you this piece of information. And it really turned people off. Like it was done awfully. Yeah. So like, I think this is a lot better alternative to just kind of be straight up, even if it does raise some red flags sometimes.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I do see that connection between the two. I didn't even think about it. But yeah, the way Patty is kind of doing it does remind me of how Chris was doing it. But I don't know. I don't know if it's Patty's personality or something about it just seems different.
Right.
I don't know how to explain it. I think right off the bat, people knew that, well, obviously both are like ready to play, but I feel like Chris just had something, extra, and people kind of knew that he was going to be sneaky, I guess, more or less. And I think that didn't help in his gameplay of, that type of strategy. So.
And if you remember, Chris got off to a hot start too. He was a power player, I believe, in the very first round. People really liked him up front. And then like the more they got to know him and the more they talked to him, the more he was kind of turning people off. And that's what I expect to see from Patty. Though people are really loving him right now. Like he's getting all the love. So we'll see. We'll see what he can do with it.
I mean, are people loving him, or are they just trying to keep him high so he's doesn't have the monkeys?
I think that's what Meg's doing.
Yeah.
Meg keeps voting him highly, and it's not because she likes him, right? I think that she's afraid of what power he'll have if he has the monkey paw, or if he's the lowest, or even if he's in the afterlife. She kind of wants to be able to keep an eye on him. So I think that's her strategy. But I think that everybody else genuinely likes him. I think that Deanna and Leanna both do. I think Anthony's afraid of him. Yeah. And so he wants to be on his good side because he's a threat. But yeah, I think everybody wants to kind of, I think everyone's afraid to cross Patty right now. And they should be. He's a pot stirrer.
Well, speaking of Meg, she was in a conversation with Nick, Anthony, and Deani, where she tells Anthony that she was one of the power players. Meanwhile, Deani does not. Any thoughts on that dynamic?
I mean, I respect Meg, saying that she doesn't want to divulge who the other power players were in case, because it's their place and not hers. So I thought it was definitely interesting that she divulged that she was, but Deani was more quiet. I feel like that kind of shows the two different types of gameplay that's going on right now. And Meg has one strategy and Deani has another one. Deani's a little more relaxed and quiet, and like everyone kind of noted, she listens a lot. So, she sits back and absorbs information. Meg is kind of more on top of things. People know that she was a strong player in another one of her seasons. And so I don't know, I guess she's kind of like Patty in that sense of like being honest and upfront. She doesn't divulge, I don't think, too much. But yeah, two different levels of strategy going on, and I just think it's interesting. I'm interested to see in how it's going to play out eventually throughout the season, because, there's two different ways to play the game. could work, it could not. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that dynamic too. But
Mhm.
what about you, Dot?
Yeah. I love that Meg loves Deani because they are both very intelligent and they're very strategic and they're in to win. Like they're here to play. I'm just concerned about Meg because she is so well put together and she's like so smart and intelligent and she pays attention. And we saw from this chat that both Anthony and Nick said, I'm scared of Meg. Like I want Meg out of here. She's pretty much a threat to me. And Nick started to turn that idea around a little bit more towards the end, but she just can't help but like show that she's like in tune and paying attention. And even picking up on the fact that Anthony's from New York, I feel like that kind of scared him a bit. You know, it's like you're too smart. You're too smart, and she just can't help but show it. So though like Meg is in the game, she pays attention, and she's great with strategy. She just raises too many eyebrows. Like, everyone just threatened by her. It's the same in Survivor, right? Everyone just so threatened by her from the jump. And I do feel like she's playing it a lot less aggressively than she did in Survivor. But still, like she just can't help but show her intelligence and her personability. And it's scary.
Yeah, during our Real Survivor podcast a few days ago, our recording, Meg was asking again why is it, what is it about her that Anthony was even saying too? And I was like, I don't know. It's just the way you are, Meg, I guess.
Yeah. It's just she's just so well put together. That's
Mhm.
really what it is. She communicates so well. And it's just like above average. It stands out.
Mhm.
Now, we didn't touch upon it last week, but Nick did make a good assessment that Meg and Leanna might want to work together, and he was kind of scared of that. But this time, he did seem to be coming around to liking Meg. So we were also talking with Meg on the podcast that she has a personality that like people are drawn to her, whether it's good or bad. I guess that's kind of what her personality is.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like after, at a certain point, it wasn't that group of four, but Nick was with Meg and was it one other person when they were finding out who was being sent to the afterlife? I feel like in a way it wasn't really like maternal, but she was kind of almost like reassuring, Nick and kind of talking to him. And I think that kind of sat well with him, probably more or less along the lines that he could probably trust her a little better. But I think the way she like handled that situation, it was really reassuring and they were all very comfortable sharing things with each other. I feel like that might be part of the reason that she started to grow on him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody that can get Anthony to like take a few deep breaths and just like calm down for a second, I think he's gonna gravitate towards them. Like, if he can feel comfortable just a little bit, then we can be friends.
Also, that first conversation though, Deani was saying she was kind of confused about the game, and Meg speculated that she was playing dumb. Do you think she's just playing dumb?
I don't. I think that she like genuinely is like she's very curious and she doesn't. I mean, it's kind of a confusing game. Like you kind of learn through experience and you get messages, but sometimes you don't 100% get what's going on. I think that she really is trying to figure it out, and she wants to know so she can do her best. I don't see her playing anything. I think she's being like 100% genuine in this game so far.
Yeah, I'm gonna be quite honest. When I started playing my season, I also didn't have a clue what was going on. I was confused for like the first, I don't know, few episodes until we got like into the swing of it. So I agree with that. I don't think she's playing anything. I think she's genuinely still learning the process of how the game works. So I don't know if that, that type of feeling comes off to some people as her trying to play dumb. I don't see it like that. Granted, I'm a former player and I know where she's coming from because I was the same way. So I guess it's kind of like my hindsight in knowing knowing that, but I don't know. I think think she'll figure it out. I think she'll be fine. But I completely understand.
Meg,
So
Meg just has returning paranoia. There's no way to avoid it.
Yeah,
mm,
that always
Impossible.
pops up. It's impossible for sure.
Impossible.
Well, speaking of returns, we touched upon it, but Miguel was the lowest, and
mhm.
he didn't use it, so he has to nominate 5 people, and the lowest were he nominated Ian, Leanna, Nick, Patty, Jamil, with I believe Nick, Patty, and Jamil were the lowest. So
Mm.
thoughts on Miguel's decision?
Again, I think it was smart to not use the monkey paw. I think that'll end up saving him in the long run, especially if he does get put in the afterlife. I don't know. I mean, I think he was mostly selecting that group based off of his knowledge of the people itself. I don't really know where to go off from there. I mean, I would have probably done like something very similar. I don't think, like Dot was saying, he doesn't quite have as strong of a social game right now. So I think he was, again, I think he was just picking from people that he might not have had enough time to interact with, because I don't think if he knew exactly who was really strong or who might be a threat or, things like that.
Do you think he just didn't have a target?
Yeah, I don't think he necessarily has a target. I think that he should. I do feel like he just genuinely picked the people that he had the least amount of connection with, just kind of playing with his heart. And it's gonna sound weird to say, but it kind of disappointed me a bit. I thought it would be more of a strategic pick. Look, he knows that like Anthony is someone that for whatever reason he has some trust in, but he should look out for. There's a couple of other strong players like Meg that he knows that she plays hard, and honestly she's a threat.
He hasn't met Meg yet though.
Oh, he hasn't. Okay, that's right. But he knows of her from Survivor. Well, okay, I probably wouldn't choose her either. But I feel like the majority of his picks were non-threats. And we saw Jamil in the first pick, he picked some threats.
Mhm.
He threw Meg and Patty. He threw Maggie. He threw Patty under there too. But I would have been a little bit more strategic with the pick. Same as like in Survivor last season. I think that he's a little bit too trusting. Like he there's a part of him that wants to work with Meg and wants to work with Anthony the same way he wanted to work with Alex. And you gotta know these kind of games. You got to make the first move. You can't wait for people to make the move on you. And I think he's putting himself in the same position to kind of get double crossed the same way.
Why do you think you trust Anthony after last season?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Because he's like
Anthony-
me. He's like
Yeah.
me. He wants to trust people. Like he
Mhm.
doesn't want to make enemies. He doesn't want to. He came in saying like, I don't know about Anthony. I have to keep an eye on him.
Mhm.
But just like just like genuinely over time, he just kind of was like, well, he's an okay guy. We don't have any problems. There's no reason to target him. But I think that you got to have a little bit more fire. Like you got to be willing to make the first strike in a game like this, or else it's going to come
I
towards
think
you.
you're much more willing to make enemies than
Yeah, I mean, you have to, man. Like, shoot, like they're eventually gonna come for you,
Mhm.
So
No.
I just think when you have a chance to take a shot at somebody that you think is a threat, especially when nobody needs to know, like it's not public, take the shot. Take the shot, man.
Mhm.
And I think he missed an opportunity here to do so. Number one. Two, I don't think he should have told Jed that he had the monkey paw. I know that they're both in Afterlife, but people would have figured it out, right?
Mhm. Well, I was gonna say, didn't people figure out that it was Jamil that
Oh,
had
yes.
it? People were kind of doing a process.
they're
of-
speculating, and Diani rightfully speculated that Miguel was the
Right. Another
Yeah.
great find by Diani. Right. I think people can figure it out, but
Mhm.
it's not something that I would openly be telling people. You're kind of putting your cards on the table, which is exactly what Miguel did. That whole conversation was like, put all of his cards on the table for Jed to see. And this kind of games, knowledge is power, info is power, and you don't want to just give it up like that. Not all of it.
Mhm.
You trade secrets.
did haunt Miguel, though, do you think that actually could help them develop a relationship, though?
That's my one thing. I'm thinking maybe it was almost strategy and he's trying to build that kind of relationship with Jed right off the bat. Because I mean, if he's honest and he tells him things, that'll kind of give reason to trust him. That'll, give Jed a reason to trust him, knowing that there's someone that's still in the game that was open and honest. And maybe Miguel will feel the same way about Jed, like, hey, there's someone on the other side that I trust, that trusts me. So I don't know if it was strategy. Again, I agree with Dot. It's kind of risky to give everything out to everyone. So it could hurt him in the end. It could benefit him to have that relationship. I don't know.
Right. I would say a little bit too much for the first date. But we saw how Shelby played it in the last season. You do want to be open and honest and genuine. And when people feel like they know who you are and they actually want you to win the game, that's when they vote you to come back. And I don't know exactly how people are going to get voted back in this time, or what the challenges are going to be. But yeah, I mean, when you're down here, you definitely want to be making connections. That's a big point of this game.
Well, let's move on from the bottom to the top. The power players were Deani and Leanna. Surprised by that or no?
No, not really. Everyone likes both of them a lot. No one really has an issue with either. So no, I wasn't surprised by that. And I think they did a nice job again. I mean, it's a tough decision overall to kind of pick who they're gonna, send to the afterlife. But I feel like the process of elimination that they did worked well, especially for the second night. I mean, they kind of just went between like, okay, who do we like? Who do we not really like? Who do we know? Who do we not really know? I mean, that's fair. That's a fair thing to do second night. So I don't really have any issues with that.
They also seemed afraid to put Jamil or Patty in the afterlife. Was that the smarter decision to send Nick?
Yeah. I mean, Patty is the worst decision to send down there. You don't want a salty Patty coming after you. Trust me, all right? It's gonna haunt you for years. He's not gonna let it go, guys.
Oh,
you're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be on the wrong side of Patty. He has too much influence, and he's not afraid to use it. I feel the same about Jamil. Like he's not afraid to say what he thinks. Like very first chat, he was not afraid to like kind of pick at Meg a little bit, which I feel like it's not typical. So I think that he would, he's gonna be like the salty juror type. He's gonna like want to get revenge on somebody if he gets voted out. So same thing. I wouldn't necessarily want to be on his bad side, and I do think that being on Nick's bad side, like I know that in the confessionals he has like a lot of fire and says that he wants to make some changes, but he seems to like a number of times like, well, if I get voted out, it's not a big deal. I may be able to get back. And if I don't, then I tried my best. So, I don't really see him coming back with a vengeance and trying to have his revenge on somebody.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I thought it was hilarious though, finding out how Patty got his name when he was talking about the beef he had with Dot. I was
my goodness,
laughing so hard.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay. I guess this makes sense now because I didn't know why. At first, why his name was like that. Because I hadn't completely, watched all of that season, and so hearing about it, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, I don't know what went on, but I was like, this is interesting. I'm gonna bring this up when we talk.
Had to take note. What am I? A slimy asshole. This episode is what I am. I on TV, I love Patty, man. I love watching this guy. He's like literally the most entertaining person. Like I feel like him and Anthony are definitely on the top of that totem pole.
Is it better to be slimy or salty, Dot?
I think I've been both.
Sure, you have experience with both, so which
I've
one
been
was
both.
better?
I think being salty is more embarrassing.
Mm,
Yeah, I think you get made fun of more for being salty. At
yeah.
least if you're slimy, people respect your game a little bit.
Mhm.
At least some people. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Patty. I have a lot of respect for the way he's playing, the way he's able to make connections and read people and kind of get in people's heads. You know, we've had our back and forth, but I've really enjoyed watching him, and he's great. He's great for the show. He's doing a good job.
You know, Anthony took credit for getting Alex out of the last season. Do you agree with that?
No, what?
Mm.
I didn't even put two and two together. Come on, man. Come on. We were in like a sudden death challenge against each other, and pretty much loser was gonna be out, and I won. Come on, it was me. Come on. But I will say I don't think I got enough credit for a lot of the things that I did in that season. But we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there.
So what do you guys think of, you know, Patty starting to come around to liking Anthony?
I don't know. I thought it was kind of cute, you know, because I didn't see that side of Patty really ever, you know. He's kind of unique. He's unique, you know. He has his own quirks, and I thought it was kind of interesting. You know, he is older compared to some of the other players in the game that are younger. So again, like I said in the beginning, I thought it was kind of sweet, and it might end up hurting him in the long run if he kind of starts to actually want to care for a lot of these players, because eventually, you know, you can't care for all of them, and you know, gonna stab you in the back at some point. But also, side note, do you know where Patty is from?
He's also from Wisconsin. So do you know anyone like Patty?
No, I was just curious because in one of the nights, one of his talks, he's wearing a Brewer shirt, and I was like, oh, he gets some points from me for that. I didn't know he was from Wisconsin, but I kind of suspected because I started carefully listening to his voice, and I was like, he's from the Midwest for sure, probably Wisconsin if he's wearing Brewer stuff, but I just wanted to double check.
Yes, you are correct. Good find.
How y'all are catching all these things? I'm not catching none of that. Like I would have never known Anthony was from New York or that Deani is from Carolina. It's like I'm not hearing it. I'm not at that level.
You know, in last season, I don't know if the podcast gave Anthony credit for his social game enough, but his social game, he has both Meg and Patty who don't really get along with each other, wanting to, or at least starting to like him. What is it about Anthony that's just so likable?
Yeah, he's just like a fun kid, man. Like his energy, no matter what he's saying or doing, like he's all over the place. He's gonna say whatever he wants, yes, but it's always positive, you know. It's always like fun loving and like excitement, you know. And it's hard in the case unless you're just like low key and like energy like turns you off. He's gonna excite you. Like he's gonna grow on you, you know. So I just think he has like a lovable energy that grows on people. I will say for Patty, I think it's temporary, man. I think he's starting to grow on him a little bit, but like on that chat with him and Patty, Anthony was selling way too hard. Like, and we saw a little bit on the preview for episode 3. It's way too much like, oh, I like you so much. This is why I like you. I would never vote you out. I would never turn my back on you. You know, like Patty is so like socially in tune. He's kind of like, did you like see his face when Anthony was saying all that stuff? It's kind of like, it's like, yeah, whatever. Like I've already told y'all I'm not trying to commit to anything. Like, and this 18-year-old kid saying that like he would never turn his back on me. Like, dude, like I've had like 3 lifetimes already. Like I've heard that a million times type thing. So I think that like Patty has kind of paternal instinct with Anthony, and he thinks he's like cute and like fun. But I think at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to be able to trust him. I don't think that Anthony is like really giving a trustworthy vibe to Patty or really a lot of the other players in the game. Yeah, there's too much of saying the same thing to too many of the same people.
I think a lot of the people have started to figure that out, though.
Yeah,
they were all kind of saying, they're like, I feel like Anthony is kind of just saying to everyone, you know, he wants to work with them and things like that. And so I think people are starting to catch on to that, though. But yeah, I feel like if Anthony was an animal, he'd be like a golden retriever. So much energy
right,
and
right.
so all over the place. That's just what I picture
Mhm.
when I think of Anthony. And I think that's why people like him. It's just because he's so high energy, and it's entertaining for me to watch him. So I can't even imagine what it's like to be interacting with him in the game presently. So yeah, I don't know. He's just so high energy.
It's great. It won me over. Like I wanted to work with him.
Yeah.
Like I worked with him for a good amount of time in my season. It was attractive energy to me. So like I feel like Meg and I are very similar. So like that's why she's attracted to him the same. It's just like you're just a big ball of energy, and I love it. Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
So Anthony obviously wants to work with Nick, but Nick's now in the afterlife. And in your season, Dot, he had that alliance, you and Rochelle and T, but like, who do you think he actually wants to work with in this game right now? Because he kind of made that connection with Leanna and Nick, but he's making connections with Meg. He's trying to make connections with everybody, like you said, Aaron. But who does he actually want to work with, or who should he work with?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know. Like, to be real, I don't know if there is like a ride or die Anthony player in this game right now. If I were him, I would run with a player that holds a lot of influence, like a Meg or a Patty.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Meg may be the best choice because Meg's very loyal. And if she says that she has your back, she most likely won't turn on you. But if he makes a strong alliance with anybody else, I don't think it holds up. You know, I just can't see it. I don't think he's made it strong enough connections with anybody to where that would be the case.
My first thought was also Meg. I feel like that's his smartest move.
Right.
I obviously don't. I also don't really see him in one spot where he's specifically really close with someone, just because he's been saying the same line to everyone right now. But I think if he was smart, he'd focus a lot of his energy on Meg, because she is influential. She's played before. People are kind of, intimidated by her, and that can be a good thing because people will respect her and they'll respect her gameplay, and they'll kind of want to keep a watch on her and, possibly even work with her if they want to go further in the game. I think Anthony would be smart to tag along with her, and they can kind of bounce play off of each other. He's got a lot of energy, and she's very intuitive, so I think working together, those two, I think that would be a pretty good team, I think, for this season.
Yeah, and Anthony has such sporadic play. Like my assessment from the Survivor season is that he kind of needs protection. Like he draws so much attention. He needs people that are going to help him out. And I'm not going to take too much credit, but like I really did me, Rochelle, and T really did gather around Anthony to make sure he would be safe. And I feel like Meg would kind of do the same thing. Meg would kind of like if you're on my team and I'm hearing something about you, I'm going to do whatever I can to keep you safe. The same way that Meg did for Jake, gave her own idol away to try to save Jake. So she's the type to do that, and he needs somebody that would like put their life on the line to save the alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, lastly, the afterlife now consists of Nick and Jed. I would say two players that have kind of struggle with their social games and social connections. So what do you think these two need to do now that there's two people in the afterlife?
I think they need to put their energy together and start, strategizing. I think, they're down there early. They have a good shot of getting back into the game. I feel like if they can kind of work together and form a relationship, I feel like if one gets out, they'll push for the other to get out too. I feel like if they start working together now, they can start really focusing on their next moves in the game. I think they have a very high likelihood of going back in. And I think having that time to kind of sit down there and work things out will help with their social game, will help, them move along in the game. I think having that other person is a great way to kind of fall back on someone. If you're still in the bottom and someone else gets sent up, they'll probably vouch for you.
Right.
And maybe want to pull you back up there too. So I don't know. I think Afterlife is not a great spot, but I think it's also a good spot. That doesn't really make any sense, but I guess
I'll follow you though. I'll follow you. You can make do with it. I think being in the afterlife, especially this early in the game, is pretty critical. Like you really set the tone for what the afterlife conversations are going to be like. Like, are we just going to be here and shoot the shit and not really care and just kind of waste our time? Or are we going to spend our time and our powers to like figure out what's going on in this game, figure out who's being sneaky and what's actually going on, and try to have a hand in controlling this? Like, if there's two sides of this game, are we supporting one side? Are we going to do our best to help them take down the other side? Or are we going to sit around and watch and not really care? So just like you said, I think that Jed and Nick need to put their minds and their energies together and kind of devise a plan and try to figure out as much information as they can to pick a side and start doing some work, start helping some people and finding a way to get back in the game and then joining the group that they're looking to help. That's the right move for them.
Do you guys think it's more beneficial to be in the afterlife early?
Yes.
In your season, Aaron, like 3 of the first 4 or 5 people got out, so and they came back. So
yeah,
the first season was a little different, but I still think like the first 2 players didn't get back in, but after that, like the next 3 got back in or something. So
right. Well, because like the first player was like JJ, and I don't think he wanted to leave the afterlife.
I mean, he was just so chill, honestly, and he was working a lot of the times.
Right.
We had our
shit. He wasn't paying attention.
So he was just like it was funny to have like groups with him because he will just randomly chime in on little things, but he was working a lot. So I don't really think he minded being there. He didn't have to focus too much then on the rest of the game. But I think, especially for my season, the people that were put, they were voted out first, they were all back in. So I don't see a problem with it. I think it's a good spot to be. If you're going to be there, you should probably be there earlier than later. If you're there later and it comes time for the group to decide who they want to bring back up, they're not going to send back up the person that just got there. They're going to most likely send up someone that's been there long, that's, worked their way kind of back up the ladder and has made connections with
people that have paid their dues. Yeah. Either get in there early or don't get in there at all. I feel like getting in there late, you have probably the smallest chance of leaving.
And if you played would you want to be in the afterlife early? Like, I feel like there's this is a big part of the game that nobody really thinks about. I feel like that they don't want to be there early. They want to just try and last into the end. But this is different than Survivor because you get that chance to come back. So like, what would your game plan be?
My game plan, honestly, I'm a safety net guy. So I would think in the same way, like Deani and Leanna are like, why would you want to go in the afterlife if there's a chance that you can't get out? And I'm the same way. I'm like, don't even send me out there because like I want to be 100% sure that I'm in this game, and I don't want to have a chance of leaving. I just think that people with different mindsets see it differently. Like Patty's brain works differently, and he's like, yeah, I would love to go to the afterlife and like shake shit up and have a chance to come back and be able to spy on people and control the game and stuff. I just think that depends on the way that you think, and I'm just more of a safety net person. I want to be. That's why I like build a lot of alliances, and I like to work like strongly with the same group of people because it's safe.
Well, any final thoughts we didn't touch upon?
My wife says that Meg is looking great, and I agree. Like I remember like Survivor season 2, she had just started this like keto diet and she was getting really big on fitness and all that kind of stuff. And see her in like one of those last chats, she was like, man, Meg, go ahead, girl. Keep your fitness journey alive. I dig it. Shout out Meg. Shout out Cleaners.
I don't know. I'm hoping that there might be a few other chats where the conversation kind of drifts off to somewhere weird because it's actually quite entertaining how off track some of these people get. And the conversations are just so weird. But I don't know. I had fun listening to them, even if it wasn't necessarily about the game. It was just a group of people talking about some really random things. So I'm hoping there's at least another one of those days just because they're so wildly entertaining.
I still laugh at the conversation Manu had in the Void last season about Taylor Swift when he was.
Yeah, she sounds irrelevant to me with Casey Musgraves.
I'm gonna go back and watch all of Manu's chats, man. They were just like,
oh
dude,
my
like
gosh.
that's a guy that grew on me. Like I learned to love that guy. Something I want to like add from like the very first chat is that did y'all notice that Jamil, like they were talking about how Jed was eliminated and Jamil was like acting like super surprised. He was like, oh wow, really?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you put him up for elimination, so so like I've made fun of Jamil a little bit, but that's kind of like was a kind of a plus for me to kind of show that his head's in the game and hiding the fact that he was in control of that vote that the night before. So I'm gonna keep an eye on him a little bit more. He maybe playing a little bit harder than we think.
No, especially when he, was in that conversation with Meg and he was actually going out of his way to kind of figure stuff out with her. Like he said, he liked to probe people's minds.
Right.
That story about talking to someone on the bus or whatever the instance was. So I think he's trying to, really get a lot of information out. So he's definitely one to watch, I'd say. Also someone that's another interesting individual in the game. So yeah, I don't know, just little things like that.
He's smarter than people may think.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to keep an eye on him for sure.
Any predictions you two want to make for the next episode?
Well, we saw that there's a bit of a battle between Jamil and Anthony right now, which we did see that Anthony figured out that Jamil probably put him up. So and Anthony's is kind of the revenge type. I don't know. I kind of expect the same people to be towards the bottom. I think that's kind of how the game goes. Is like people kind of vote the same for a while until they learn more about people, and then opinions start to change. So I still expect, let's see, like Jamil to be at the bottom, Ian to be at the bottom. Shoot. And I think that if that's the case, I think that Jamil and Ian are both pretty smart cats. I think they take a shot at one of the more influential players like Meg or Patty, maybe even Diani, and one of them may have to beg for their life a little bit.
You think the monkey's paw will be used to dominate two people? Especially because going forward, as there's less players in the game, there's also a consequence if you do the other way too. So
I think it depends on who gets it though. If it's, for example, maybe if it's like Anthony that gets it, he might be the one to play it. If it's, I don't know, again, like Miguel, it was kind of like a conscious thing for him. He didn't want to have that issue of getting back out from the afterlife. I feel like Anthony could easily have beef with someone and like he's very sporadic. He could do something kind of just like really last minute and last ditch and just immediately go for someone. I feel like if anyone's going to do that, it's going to be him.
I feel like the only person that would is Patty. And I think just because like Patty would want to try it, he's like, let's do something that nobody else would do.
Yeah.
Just for the hell of it. I feel like everybody else is playing a little bit more safe, and they're more afraid that it would hurt them in the future, and that's why no one's done it so far. So if anyone's going to use it, I don't think it'll be in this episode unless Patty's down there.
Will they let Patty get down there?
Not right now, I don't think. I think there are there's still a good number of people that like him right now. Meg is trying to work with him. Leanna and Deani like him, and Liana and Deani were the ones that were kind of like power players, and they immediately didn't want to send Patty to the bottom. They didn't want to get rid of him. I feel like he's still, at least in this next episode, I don't think he's gonna get put down.
Yeah, Patty conversations go from 0 to 100 real quick. So
granted, I haven't played with him, so I wouldn't know. But that's just what I'm thinking right now. Is he still has quite a few people that are vouching for him, that want to work with him. So I guess it depends on who the power players are and who is kind of like the lowest.
Yeah, I mean that's what happened with me. Like, I didn't really know Patty very well, and he was a cool cat for me. And then there's like, he has one conversation where he's pretty much like calling out Meg and, you know, our side of the game. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm against Patty now. Like, it's, so I feel like the switch can flip really quick for like, are we team Patty or is he on the opposite side of where we need to be? And, you know, he's so sporadic with his speech. And, you know, I don't know how much he's drinking during the show. He said he was drinking a whole 6-pack of beer, and one of those shots you can see a bottle a little bit.
He had like brandy or something. That was another thing.
So he's probably like he's literally doing his confessionals, like to say something and then taking a swig. Yeah. And then like saying and
that was another thing that made me realize that he was probably from Wisconsin. That's such a Wisconsin thing. I'm not even joking. Obviously we're the alcohol state, and so the fact that he was talking about drinking so much, like his beer, and then having him have the bottle of like brandy or something with him, I was like, okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna confirm with Nick during our chat, but I have a strong suspicion with the Brewer shirt, the way he talks, and the alcohol. I was like, I think I know where he's from.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Patty.
It didn't make the first episode because the episode was too long, but he said that the first couple of days he's not going to drink during this game. He was going to play sober, and then by night 3 he had to start drinking.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. You know, Patty plus drinks equals anything goes. So I mean that's why honestly he could be in the bottom by next episode. You just don't know who he's going to get into it with, or who's going to offend, or. You know, everyone's playing nice with Patty right now, but people are going to start to get more comfortable. And if he says something that they dislike, you know, soon people are going to start saying like, "Hey, like, Patty's kind of an asshole." Like, I didn't really like what he said. So, you know, it's a ticking time bomb, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. Now that I know where he is, I'll try and locate him physically, and I will let you all know what he's like.
He lives in Hawaii now, but he's from Wisconsin, so you're gonna have to fly there to find him.
Oh, never mind.
I'm glad he's getting all the time zones right this season.
Yeah, so far
definitely. Like I always respect a man who learns from his mistakes. So big ups to being in all the chats, not missing any, because they're critical in this game.
All right. Well, we shall end it there. The next 2 episodes, it really starts to pick up, and then it explodes in episode 5. So prepare yourselves.
Oh. Okay.
Until next time, I guess. Thank you both for joining me.
Word up.